Before we begin, if you're listening to this alone at night, you're exactly where you should be. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more true horror stories, disturbing encounters, and unexplained events uploaded every day. Now lock your doors, turn off the lights, and let's get into tonight's stories. People think firefighters are afraid of flames. We're not. Fire behaves according to rules. It follows oxygen, heat, fuel. You train long enough, and you learn how to read it. Smoke tells you where it's moving. Windows tell you when a room is about to flash over. A collapsing roof gives warning signs if you know what to look for. The things that scare firefighters aren't the fires that make sense. They're the ones that don't. I learned that during a warehouse fire that started with a routine alarm and ended with my crew searching for a firefighter who had never been dispatched. My name is Brandon. I worked on Engine 12 in a mid-sized city where old brick warehouses lined the railroad tracks. Most overnight calls turned out to be false alarms, burned food, faulty detectors, steam-triggering sprinkler systems. We joked that if dispatch called us after midnight, it was probably another automatic alarm. One night, it wasn't. Just after 2 a.m, tones dropped for a commercial structure fire. Multiple callers reported smoke coming from an abandoned warehouse near the freight yard. Engine 12 responded with a ladder company, a rescue unit, and the battalion chief. From 3 blocks away, we could already see smoke hanging over the rooftops. Not thick black smoke. Gray, slow-moving, almost motionless. When we pulled up, something immediately felt wrong. There were no flames visible. Only smoke drifting from broken second-floor windows. The building had been vacant for years. The chain-link gate was locked. No vehicles, no lights, no signs anyone should have been inside. The battalion chief ordered us to make entry and verify the fire's location. My partner, Mike, and I forced the side door. Hot air rolled into the night. Inside, visibility dropped to almost nothing. Our flashlights barely reached 10 feet ahead. The thermal imaging camera should have shown a clear heat source. Instead, the entire screen displayed nearly the same temperature. Warm, but not burning. We advanced the hose line down a long hallway. Old shipping offices lined one side. Empty storage rooms lined the other. The smoke remained strangely consistent. No increase, no decrease. Almost like it wasn't coming from any particular place. Then I heard someone on the radio. Engine 14 entering from the east. I looked at Mike. Engine 14? He shook his head. They weren't dispatched. The battalion chief confirmed it. Only Engine 12, Ladder 6, Rescue 3, and Battalion 1 were assigned. No Engine 14. We continued searching. The hallway opened into a massive warehouse floor. Rows of empty steel shelving disappeared into the smoke. That's when I saw a flashlight. Far across the room. A firefighter. Reflective stripes. Helmet. SCBA pack. Walking calmly between the shelves. I called out, "Engine 12. No response. The firefighter continued walking, never turning around. Mike saw him too. We started after him. Every time we got closer, he disappeared behind another row of shelving, always just out of reach. Our radios crackled. "Engine 12, report your location." I answered, following another firefighter. Silence. Then the battalion chief replied, "There shouldn't be anyone ahead of you." We stopped immediately. The flashlight disappeared. The warehouse became completely silent. No crackling fire. No falling debris. Nothing. Then, a pass alarm began sounding. Every firefighter wears one. If you stop moving for too long, it emits a loud emergency tone. Somewhere ahead, one was going off. Slow. Steady. Echoing through the warehouse. We followed the sound. It led us to an old freight elevator. The doors stood partially open. Inside, nothing. No firefighter. No equipment. Only a rusted helmet resting on the floor. Mike picked it up. The front shield read, "Engine 14. Neither of us spoke. The pass alarm stopped. Instantly, we carried the helmet outside. The battalion chief stared at it for several seconds, then quietly asked, "Where did you find this?" "The freight elevator." His expression changed. He called dispatch. Within minutes, an older deputy chief arrived. He took the helmet without saying a word. The fire itself never materialized. Smoke gradually disappeared on its own. Investigators couldn't locate any source. No burned wiring. No smoldering debris. No chemical reaction. Nothing. Officially, the incident was classified as an unfounded alarm. Back at the station, curiosity got the better of me. I asked one of the retired captains about Engine 14. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. There used to be an Engine 14. What happened? He looked toward the apparatus bay. They responded to a warehouse collapse. No one made it out. The company was disbanded afterward. I told him about the helmet. His face lost color. That helmet was never recovered. Several months later, Engine 12 responded to another commercial alarm. Different warehouse. Different part of town. As we stepped off the engine, my radio crackled before dispatch spoke. A calm voice said only 4 words. We're already inside. No unit number. No identifier. Just that. Dispatch insisted they hadn't transmitted anything. I still ride engines. I still trust my training. Fire behaves the way physics says it should. But every now and then, when smoke hangs strangely still, and a flashlight moves where no crew should be, I remember the firefighter who kept leading us deeper into an empty warehouse. Sometimes I wonder whether he was trying to get us lost, or trying to keep us away from something we'd never found. The majority of residential fire alarms end the same way. Burned food, a dead smoke detector battery, steam from a hot shower. By the time firefighters arrive, the homeowner is usually standing outside, embarrassed. We reset the alarm, write the report, go back to the station. That's why none of us expected anything unusual when dispatch sent us to a single smoke detector activation just after 3 in the morning. There wasn't supposed to be a fire. There wasn't even supposed to be anyone inside. My name is Mason. I worked on a combination engine company in a quiet suburb outside Portland. Our district was mostly neighborhoods, single-family homes, schools, small shopping centers. Real structure fires weren't common. Automatic alarms happened almost every night. Most of them lasted less than 20 minutes. The call that still bothers me started like every other alarm. 1 smoke detector, 1 address, no visible fire. Engine 6 responded with 4 firefighters. The dispatcher added 1 note before clearing the radio. Neighbor reports alarm has been sounding for over an hour. That was unusual. Normally someone silenced it long before then. The house sat at the end of a cul-de-sac. Every light was off. No cars in the driveway. The front porch was covered in leaves that hadn't been disturbed for days. The smoke detector chirped steadily inside. 1 loud alarm. Then silence. Then another. No smoke. No flames. Nothing. We knocked several times. No answer. The battalion chief requested a welfare check. With approval from the police officer already on scene, we forced the front door. The house smelled stale. Not like smoke. More like it had been closed for weeks. Dust coated the furniture. Mail piled near the kitchen entrance. Nobody had lived there recently. Yet, the smoke detector continued sounding somewhere upstairs. My captain pointed toward the staircase. Let's clear the 2nd floor. We climbed slowly. Every bedroom door stood open. Each room was empty. No furniture. No clothing. Nothing. Only the final bedroom remained closed. The alarm sounded directly behind it. I pushed the door open. The room was empty. No smoke detector. No furniture. Only bare carpet and freshly painted walls. The alarm immediately stopped. The silence felt almost louder than the alarm had. Then, it started again. Downstairs. We looked at one another. Nobody had gone back down. Our captain radioed the crew outside. Did anyone enter? Negative. The front door had remained in sight the entire time. We searched downstairs again. Living room. Kitchen. Garage. Basement. Nothing. The alarm now echoed from somewhere inside the walls. Not from a ceiling. Not from a hallway. Inside the house itself. One firefighter joked, "Maybe it's wired into the whole place." Nobody laughed. The sound kept moving. Kitchen. Hallway. Dining room. Always just beyond where we stood. I finally found the electrical panel in the basement. If the detector had power, cutting the breaker should silence it. I switched off every circuit. The house went completely dark. The alarm continued. Exactly the same volume. Exactly the same rhythm. That shouldn't have been possible. Battery-powered alarms eventually weakened. This one sounded brand new. As we climbed back upstairs, I noticed muddy boot prints on the hardwood floor. Fresh, leading toward the second floor. None leading back down. Our captain stopped. "Did one of you go upstairs already?" Everyone shook their head. We followed the prints. This time, they led into the closed bedroom. The same bedroom we'd already searched. Inside, there was now a smoke detector mounted in the center of the ceiling. Bright white, brand new. Its red light blinked every few seconds. I stared at it. I swear, it wasn't there. The captain didn't answer. He climbed onto a chair and twisted the detector free. The alarm immediately stopped. He removed the battery. Still, it kept sounding, right there in his hands. No wires, no battery, no power, yet it continued screaming. The captain wrapped it inside a turnout coat. The sound became muffled. Then, completely silent. We carried it outside. The police officer looked confused. "What did you find?" The captain unwrapped the detector. It was gone. Only the turnout coat remained. Nobody said anything during the drive back. Later that morning, our fire marshal checked county property records. The house had been vacant for months. The previous owner had moved out after an electrical fire damaged the upstairs bedroom. Fortunately, nobody had been injured. The smoke detector that originally activated during that fire had melted into the ceiling before firefighters arrived. It had never been replaced. That explanation should have ended the story. It didn't. A few weeks later, our station responded to another smoke alarm. Different neighborhood, different house, no visible smoke, no answer at the door. Routine. As we unloaded the engine, my portable radio emitted one loud smoke detector chirp. Not dispatch, not interference. The exact same alarm we'd heard inside the vacant house. One chirp. Then silence. My captain looked at me. "You heard it too?" I nodded. Neither of us mentioned it again. Several shifts later, I found a folded inspection report sitting on my locker. No envelope. No name. The paperwork belonged to the vacant house. Across the bottom, someone had written in black ink, "Alarm acknowledged." No signature. No explanation. Just those two words. I've responded to hundreds of fire alarms since then. Most are exactly what you'd expect. Burned toast. Faulty detectors. Dead batteries. Nothing more. But whenever dispatch reports an alarm in a house everyone believes is empty, I pay attention. Because sometimes, the smoke detector isn't warning us about a fire. Sometimes, it's warning us that someone inside still wants to be found. Every firefighter learns the same priority on day one. Life comes first. Property comes second. If someone is trapped inside, you go in. You don't stop to think about the smoke, the heat, or whether the building might collapse. You trust your crew. You trust your training. And you trust the voice calling for help. The call I'm about to tell you about changed that forever, because the person we risked our lives to rescue was never listed as being inside the building. My name is Eric. I served on a busy engine company covering an older section of the city. Most of our serious calls happened after dark. Apartment fires, vehicle accidents, medical emergencies. After enough years, you learn that every fire scene has its own rhythm. People screaming, glass breaking, radios talking over each other, controlled chaos. The night that still stays with me began with a report of smoke coming from a 3-story apartment building. Nothing about the dispatch sounded unusual. Engine 8 arrived first. Smoke pushed from several second-floor windows. Residents crowded the sidewalk wearing blankets and pajamas. Police officers were already helping people away from the building. The battalion chief established command. Ladder crews searched upper floors. My engine was assigned primary search on the second floor. A woman met us near the entrance. "My son. He's still upstairs." The captain asked for an apartment number. She pointed toward the hallway. "Second door on the left." There wasn't time for anything else. We masked up and entered. Visibility dropped almost immediately. The hallway was filled with thick gray smoke. Heat stayed low. The fire hadn't reached full growth yet. We followed the wall toward the apartment. The door stood open. Inside, the living room was empty. No fire. Only smoke drifting through the ceiling. "Fire department," my captain shouted. No response. We searched every room. Kitchen. Bathroom. Closets. Nothing. Then, I heard it. A little girl's voice. Very soft. Help. It came from farther down the hallway. I radioed the captain. I've got a victim calling. We moved toward the sound. Every few seconds, the voice repeated. Help. Always just ahead of us. Apartment after apartment was empty. Furniture remained. Televisions. Family photos. But no people. The voice continued. Never closer. Never farther. Always around the next corner. Finally, we reached the end of the hallway. Only one apartment remained. The door was locked. The little girl's voice came from inside. Clearly. Please. Help me. The captain forced the door. We entered immediately. The apartment was completely empty. No furniture. No carpet. No signs anyone had lived there in years. The voice stopped. At that exact moment, my radio crackled. Engine 8. Evacuate immediately. The fire's above you. We turned to leave. The hallway had changed. Smoke was much thicker now. The exit lights had disappeared. Everything looked unfamiliar. Every apartment door looked identical. Training took over. Stay together. Follow the wall. Keep moving. We found the stairwell within seconds. Or at least, we thought we did. The door opened into another hallway. Not stairs. Another hallway. My captain stopped. This isn't right. The building blueprint showed only one corridor on that floor. We had somehow entered a second one. Then, we heard a pass alarm. Loud. Steady. Somewhere ahead. Another firefighter. Motionless. In trouble. Without hesitation, we followed the alarm. It led to a doorway standing slightly open. Inside, a firefighter sat against the wall. Facepiece on. Air cylinder. Helmet. Everything looked normal. Except, the reflective stripes on his turnout gear were an older design. One our department hadn't used for years. The pass alarm stopped. The firefighter slowly lifted one hand, pointing behind us, toward the hallway. Before anyone spoke, he disappeared into the smoke. Not walked away, not stood up. Gone. My captain grabbed my shoulder. We're leaving. No arguments. We turned around. The real stairwell stood directly behind us. Exactly where it should have been. We exited the building moments before part of the roof collapsed. The second floor became fully involved in flames less than a minute later. Had we stayed, we would have been trapped. After the fire was extinguished, investigators confirmed every resident had escaped before we arrived. No missing children. No trapped occupants. The woman who reported her son inside? Police never found anyone matching her description. None of the evacuated residents recognized her. Back at the station, none of us could explain the voice, or the hallway, or the firefighter. We agreed not to speculate. Some things simply don't have answers. Several days later, our battalion chief called me into his office. He placed an old department photograph on the desk. It showed a fire crew standing beside an engine. One firefighter looked familiar. The helmet, the turnout gear, the older reflective stripes. It was the same firefighter we'd followed inside the apartment. The chief quietly said, "They lost him during a search. In this same building. He led 2 civilians to safety before the collapse. He never came out." I stared at the photograph. The chief leaned back. "Are you sure that's who you saw?" I nodded. He didn't ask another question. Months passed. Life at the station returned to normal. Then one rainy evening, Engine 8 responded to another apartment fire across town. As we prepared to enter, my portable radio crackled. Not dispatch, not another crew, just one calm voice. "The stairs are behind you." I turned around. A maintenance stairwell hidden behind a partially open door led directly to the fire floor. It wasn't marked on the building pre-plan. Using it saved several minutes during our search. We found an elderly resident unconscious inside a smoke-filled apartment. He survived. No one ever figured out who transmitted that message. Radio technicians found no record of the transmission. No microphone had been keyed. No emergency button had been pressed. Officially, it never happened. I've been inside enough burning buildings to know that fear keeps you alive. Panic gets you killed. But every firefighter also knows something else. Sometimes, when the smoke is so thick you can't see your own hand, you have to trust the voice that knows the building better than you do. You just have to hope. It's trying to lead you out, and not deeper inside.